Good morning, Big Square, road2ruta.com with your morning horn of Z's, your sip of tea for the last day. 9 days. Easy peasy, baby. Yeah, I think I've dropped like 7 pounds, probably 8 by tomorrow. That's not bad for 9 days. All right, let's talk about the Fed bailouts. Another big jump. There was a jump yesterday. I didn't talk much about it. It wasn't big. As my schedule says, we had the reason all this is happening today is we had an expiration of one of the 14 days. So they had to add more. And then there was a massive oversubscribe. Let me go through it. First, I'll start with zero hedge. Dollar liquidity turmoil returns with first oversubscribed term repo in a month. This was not supposed to happen. After the Fed rolled out the big artillery in response to the sharp, sudden mid-September funding squeeze, which we know had virtually nothing to do with last month's tax payments or other one-time events such as Treasury's cash rebuild, including the return of both overnight and term repo operations, and culminated with the Fed's relaunching of QE, which would be used to permanently increase the balance sheet with $60 billion in T-bills every month in order to replenish reserves. Because we live in a bizarre world where $1.4 trillion in cash is not enough for the smooth functioning bank plumbing. Moments ago, we got the latest indication that the dollar funding shortage is again getting worse, despite the market having priced in the Fed's rollout of the kitchen sink to ease funding conditions. When the Fed announced that it had its first oversubscribed term repo operation since the funding crisis erupted in September, specifically, while the Fed 2-week term repo operation was capped at $35 billion, which I have stated many times, truthfully, it's not capped at $35 billion. But I'll get to that. You know, the language they use for it, $35 billion or more. You're like, wait, why are you saying $35 billion or more, which means infinity? Has been the case for the past week. Dealers submitted $52.2 billion worth of securities. 52.2. So the target number was 35, and they submitted 50, meaning they needed 52. And these are billions. It's not just $52. These are billions of dollars of bailouts happening every night, every 14 days, and permanently. And there's the link to the Treasury site. Submitted 52.2, accepted 35, making today's term market operation 1.5 times oversubscribed, which was the first overallocated operation since the second term repo at the start of the funding crisis on September 26th. Like I said, it's going to get worse and worse and worse and worse. And now they're falling behind the curve, which I'll show you in a second. Nevertheless, if the funding shortage was getting better, this operation would not be oversubscribed. The only possible explanation is someone really needed to lock in cash for Halloween. The maturity of the operation is on November 5th, which is when the no-deal Brexit may go live, and as a result, one or more banks are bracing for the worst. So many triggers on the road to Ruta. And this is just one of them. I didn't even talk about Brexit on my trigger list on the private road. When it's going to happen, why is it going to happen? I was mainly focused on the repos, because the repos is the sign. The repos, if you want cryptos to be freely traded, if you want gold and silver to be freely traded, if you want sanity back into our system, we have to destroy the old system. There's no doubt about it. We don't have to destroy it. We have to stop supporting it. And that's what the Fed is doing. The Fed could have told nobody about this stuff. They could have kept it all in the background, done it all secretly like they do anyway. Why now? Why now? Meanwhile, tensions weren't evident only in term repo, because today's overnight GC repo operation, which concluded minutes after the term operation, also showed an increased uptake with $64.9 billion in securities submitted, up from $58 billion yesterday, if still just over $10 billion shy of hitting the ceiling operation. But they're not counting in the reverse repos, which get posted in another hour or two. The reverse repos have jumped. Your hedge will jump on this very soon. The reverse repos help them keep the interest rate down. So it is insane out there. It is insane. So they showed this, 64.9. What does it all mean? Let me show you where we are on the road to Ruta graph on the private road. and on the Patreon channel. Here's where we are. Fed repos October 22nd. Now this isn't the Fed balance sheet. That's more like this one here, the cumulative. This is overnight repos plus the cumulative. Basically, how much have the banks needed to be bailed out every single night? And it is growing exponentially. It's going to kick into high exponential growth, which I talk about on the private road. But here we are right now. Now this 64 is going to jump up to probably 70 or 84 with a 20 close somewhere around, at least they've done it for the last 2 days, $20 billion reverse repo. So that'll hit way, we're going to blow by the 250, be up in the 260 range. And again, this is going exponential. Now this week, I have projected in the projections on the private road an 75 to $80 billion average of the overnights, including the term repos. So this is when it starts kicking in. And then all this shit, now they're falling behind. As you can see, they're falling behind the linear. But what they're going to do is have to catch up with a big, big number. And I do talk about the date for that, as well as then what happens. On the private road, if you go to the private road, and you go to, there's the private road, and you go to the timeline. It's the first video, I talk about the next trigger. And it is the first time I've come after September 11th, I've posted on a timeline because it's been chaotic. But now it's starting to form, and you can start to see where the next problem is going to be, how they're going to deal with it. Obviously, the only way the Fed knows how to deal with anything is throw money at it, and that's when the exponential part of this graph kicks in down here. And this is going to get to 20 trillion with a T. We're at 260 billion now, or 240, probably 260 by the end of the day. It's going to go to 20 trillion really fast. So hold on to your hats. It's getting crazy out there. Absolutely crazy. All right, something else I want to talk about. Snippy. Oh, am I mad at Snippy? He's going to the dark side. It's like Luke Skywalker going to the dark side, getting sucked in by Darth Vader, who is Dick Allgaier. Listen to what Snippy says. Now, it's a great video. Go check out his site. It's concerned Amazon will run the code that powers the U.S. election. Yeah, Amazon and Bezos are trying to take over the voting. And voting is ridiculous. It hasn't been real in a hell of a long time. But listen to what Snippy says. He's starting to go to the dark side, to the fear side. Listen to him.
As Reuters reports, Amazon, now far more than just an e-tailer, has begun to aggressively expand its web services sector into election. In addition, 2020 Democrat presidential contender and former Vice President Joe Biden, along with the U.S. federal agency that administers and enforces campaign finance law, also use Amazon's election books. Can I just stop for a second? Because I'm talking, I get blockchain. Blockchain can fix it. Okay. Everybody, because look, I know there's one or two YouTubers out there yelling about freedom and blockchain leads to freedom. I'm kind of on Dick Allgaier's side on that.
No! Oh, killing me.
The more I've really researched, the more it does kind of seem like blockchain may have been brought to us by the same people who were in charge of the last financial system.
Yes.
And they knew that when that thing crumbles, we're going to blockchain. The good news is, again, like I've said before, there's a train coming. It's made of gold. It's got an enormous amount of wealth on it. It leads you to the New World Order. It's the elite. Okay, all right. It's coming by right in front of you, whether you like it or not. All you got to do is, you don't have to jump on board. Just stick your hand out and scrape off some of the gold as it goes by.
Snippy. A few things. Blockchain isn't the only reason freedom can be broken. Blockchain has nothing to do with freedom. The freedom you have to fight for. Individuals have to fight for the freedom. We have to save our country. Our founding fathers had to build their country. Freedom is something that we fight for. blockchain is a tool we can use in the future. We can use it now, but we can use it in the future. In a free society, blockchain is beautiful. Yes, good guys and bad guys created, you can call them good guys or bad, created the blockchain. Yes, it was deep state, it was the Fed, it was all that. There are good guys within both, and there are bad guys within both. The reality is, freedom has to be fought for and won by us. It's got nothing to do with the blockchain. The blockchain is for our use in a free society later. Okay? That's the whole thing. Decentralization, open source software. There's nothing they can do. The cat is out of the bag. So you got to get that straight, Snippy. And don't go to the dark side. I'm trying to pull Dick out from the dark side and bring him over with me and Bitcoin Ben and Cliff High. We all know that freedom is our only chance in the future. As a matter of fact, I just talked to Cliff. And he said, we will die as a species if the control system is still in place in the next 20 years. We will die. We will be gone. We will be extinct. Only freedom can remove the controllers because the old system can't change. They're stuck in their static paradigm. And we're moving into a dynamic world that everything's about to go crazy. And they're going to try to control it with their static system. That won't work. According to Cliff, we will all die if they stay in power. So Cliff is on the side of freedom, absolutely. Bitcoin Ben on the side of freedom, absolutely. I'm on the side of freedom, absolutely. Snippy, you were on the side of freedom. Get on the side of freedom. If you want to survive, if you want your kids to survive, you better be on the side of freedom. Everything's going to change. And it's the dark force. That's where we do not want to turn. We want to turn to the side of freedom. We will use blockchain and Bitcoin as unbelievable tools in our future, only if we get out of the control of these bad guys. So it's up to the person. It's up to people to fight for their freedom. It's got nothing to do with blockchain. Blockchain will be used as part of the new system as we come out of their control. Again, and Cliff was very clear on this with me. If the bad guys win, we will all die within 20 years. That's what his data is showing. We will all be dead unless we can fix these things. And it has to do with the climate change, the political stuff, all these things that we need this revolution to. We need freedom. Freedom is the only dynamic way to deal with change. The old system will die. Will die. Our old controllers will be gone, or we will be gone. I hate to add a little doom and gloom, but Snippy, I'm pulling you out before Darth Vader gets his hands on you. I'm pulling Dick out before Darth Vader gets his hand on. Dick is not Darth Vader. He's listening to people who are in the old system. They can't change. They can say they can change all they want, but they want to keep the control. It's the control versus freedom. If the control stays in place, we're all dead. According to Cliff, and according to me, and according to Ben. If freedom takes over, we have an amazing shot at an amazing future. And then we can implement blockchain in everything we do, open, honest, the whole thing. Just because some bad guys were involved in the invention of Bitcoin and the blockchain doesn't mean that it is bad going forward. The cat is out of the bag. It's open source. You know that, Snippy. Come on. Come with me. Fight with me. I'm going to get you in Vegas and we're going to have it. I'm bringing you on stage and we're going to talk about it. The meaning of life. All right? Anyway, this is Big Swear, roadtorude.com. I'll talk to you guys later.